5 future Hall of Famers came to the plate in a row: Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmie Foxx, Al Simmons, and Joe Cronin, and one pitcher struck out every single one of them. It happened in front of a packed New York ballpark. It happened with a pitch so strange, so unnatural, that throwing it for a living slowly turned the man's arm inside out. His name was Carl Hubbell. And the afternoon that made him a legend was also the afternoon that began to destroy him. This is the story of the greatest 2 innings a pitcher ever threw, and the hidden price buried inside them. July 10, 1934. The Polo Grounds, New York. The second All-Star game ever played. The idea was still brand new. Take the best players in the American League, the best in the National League, put them on one field for a single afternoon, and see what happens. And in 1934, the American League half of that field was not a lineup. It was a firing squad. Look at who Carl Hubbell had to face. Babe Ruth, still the most famous man in America. Lou Gehrig, in the middle of a streak of consecutive games that would stand for over half a century. Jimmie Foxx, a man so strong teammates joked he had muscles in his hair. Al Simmons. Joe Cronin. Between them, thousands of hits, a mountain of home runs, and a combined reputation that made pitchers sweat before they ever let go of the ball. Carl Hubbell was thin, quiet, and almost unnervingly calm. His own teammates called him the meal ticket, because whenever the Giants needed a win, they handed him the baseball and he went and got them one. He didn't throw hard. He didn't overpower anybody. His fastball scared no one. He threw something else. Something almost nobody else on earth could throw. A screwball. A curveball breaks one way. A screwball breaks the other, the wrong way, the direction a human wrist is not built to turn. To throw it, Hubbell had to twist his forearm violently on every single pitch, rolling his hand over until the palm faced outward. The ball would dart down and away from a right-handed hitter like it was trying to escape him. Nobody could time it. Almost nobody had seen enough of it to learn it. As the story goes, the pitch was so unusual that early in his career coaches warned him it would wreck his arm and told him to bury it. He nearly washed out of the game entirely before the Giants took a chance on him. Now here he stood, on the biggest stage baseball had, holding the one weapon the greatest hitters alive had never solved. The first 2 men reached base, a single, then a walk. 2 on, nobody out. And Babe Ruth stepping into the box. The whole ballpark leaned in. Carl Hubbell, the soft-throwing pitcher nobody feared, was about to face the most dangerous hitters alive, with the game already threatening to slip away. Ruth watched the first screwball dive under his hands. He was a fastball hitter, the greatest who ever lived, and Hubbell fed him almost nothing straight. The pitches tumbled and dropped and vanished beneath the barrel of his bat. Ruth took a called third strike, stood there a beat as if he wanted to argue with it, and walked away without ever taking the bat off his shoulder for the last one. 1. Lou Gehrig came next, the Iron Horse, the steadiest bat in the sport. Hubbell went back to the screwball. Gehrig swung straight through it for strike 3. As legend has it, Gehrig muttered to the next man on his way past, "You might as well cut. You won't see it either." 2. That next man was Jimmie Foxx, who hit baseballs into places baseballs weren't supposed to reach. Hubbell threw him screwball after screwball, low and away, and Foxx went down swinging too. 3 men. 3 of the most feared sluggers in the history of the game. 3 strikeouts in a single inning. The National League dugout was on its feet, and the crowd had begun to understand it was watching something it would tell its grandchildren about. Then Hubbell walked back out for the second inning. Al Simmons, a lifetime .334 hitter, one of the best right-handed bats of his era. Strike 3. Joe Cronin, a future Hall of Fame shortstop and manager. Strike 3. 5 in a row. 5 men who would each one day have a bronze plaque in Cooperstown, sent back to the bench one after another by a pitch that broke the wrong way. The streak finally ended when Bill Dickey, himself a Hall of Famer, lined a single. And even that carried a punchline. The man who followed Dickey was the pitcher, Lefty Gomez, a career .147 hitter, one of the worst hitting men in the league, and he struck out to end the inning. The joke wrote itself. The only reason Hubbell's streak of Hall of Famers ended was that an actual hitter cut in line. Here is the part almost everyone forgets. The American League won that game, 9-7. Hubbell's masterpiece didn't even decide the outcome. But nobody remembered the score. They remembered the names. Ruth, Gehrig, Foxx, Simmons. Cronin, struck out in order by a man who, by his own admission, couldn't have broken a pane of glass with his fastball. Overnight, Carl Hubbell became a household name. The screwball became the most famous pitch in America. Kids on every sandlot from coast to coast started twisting their wrists the way King Carl did. Most of them should never have tried. Because the pitch that made Carl Hubbell immortal was already doing something to his body that no one could yet see. Every screwball began the same way, that violent inward snap of the forearm, the hand rolling over, the elbow swallowing a twist the human arm was never designed to repeat. Once or twice, it's a trick. Thousands upon thousands of times, it becomes a slow act of self-destruction. And Hubbell threw it thousands upon thousands of times. Through the mid-1930s he was simply the best pitcher in the National League, the most valuable player, a winning streak of 24 consecutive decisions stretched across 2 seasons, a World Series championship. The meal ticket kept delivering, year after year, arm be damned. But the arm was keeping score. By the end of his career, Carl Hubbell's left arm would no longer hang straight. When he stood with his arms loose at his sides, his pitching hand turned outward on its own, the palm facing away from his body, the thumb pointing off behind him. 2 decades of screwballs had slowly rotated the bones of his arm out of position. Photographs of it are genuinely unsettling. His left arm looks like it was borrowed from a man standing the other way. The pitch had, quite literally, reshaped the body of the man who threw it. His elbow gave out for good in 1938. Doctors went in and removed bone chips, and the old magic began to fade. Within a few short years the meal ticket was finished. He retired in 1943, at 40 years old, his greatest weapon having spent 20 years quietly taking his throwing arm apart from the inside. And this is why the story matters, beyond the 5 strikeouts, beyond the highlight reel. The screwball never became what everyone in that 1934 ballpark assumed it would. It did not take over the game. It very nearly disappeared from it. Coaches and managers watched what it had done to the greatest screwball artist who ever lived, and to the rare few who followed him, like Fernando Valenzuela half a century later, and drew a hard, permanent conclusion. The pitch works. The pitch also costs far too much. Today, in a sport more obsessed with protecting arms than at any point in its history, a true, well-thrown screwball has all but vanished. You can watch an entire modern season and never once see it done right. Carl Hubbell became the warning label attached to his own masterpiece. The very thing that made him untouchable was the thing that broke him, and, in the end, the game itself decided the trade simply wasn't worth making. So we are left with two versions of the same man. One is frozen forever on a July afternoon in 1934, calm, thin, expressionless, retiring 5 of the greatest hitters who ever lived, one after another, while a packed ballpark comes apart at the seams. The other is an old man whose arm never turned back, a living, physical monument to exactly what that afternoon, and that pitch, took out of him. Both of them are true. And that is what turns a highlight into a legend. We remember the moment. We almost never remember that the man carried its cost in his own bones for the rest of his life. So here is the question. If someone handed you the pitch that would make you immortal, the one nobody could hit, the one they'd still be talking about a century later, would you throw it, knowing it would leave your body twisted for the rest of your days? Follow for more.